Let me just preface with, I don't think I'm going anywhere. I don't plan on going anywhere. It's just that in my limited time on this floating celestial rock, I've come to realize the fragility of the human experience, that this is all temporal, and all of us are sort of subject to that fateful day. And I think it's a nice little thought we carry, at least here in the West, where we try our best to ignore aging and death and mortality and existential topics. And we sort of act as if the modern age has always been around forever and it'll always continue. It's just this static environment of comfort and luxury. It's nice to think that way. It's just untrue. It's very untrue. When you lose someone, you're reminded, it punctuates your life, that there is a time restraint to all of this. And for me, part of accepting that reality is planning my own funeral. Stare it in the face and confront it. Because I do want specific things to happen at my funeral. And that's why I'm making this video, because what other place to put it than my little digital time capsule? I've told a few close friends this. I don't know if they took me serious. I'm like making this so people actually know this is what I want. The common thing to do is to have a religious authority figure from whatever respective religion you participate in to go and to present some sort of sermon for 20 to 30 minutes and interpret your life and existence through that religious perspective. As I come to become more of me and I know myself more and more, I've come to realize that I don't interpret the world through at least any mainstream religious lens. None of it resonates with me. I've had a really interesting relationship with religion in the last few years. Because of that, I've also come to realize that I interpret the world through an artistic lens. So that is how I would want my funeral to be presented, because that is the essence of me and how I understood my own life. So what I want is to use that 20 to 30 minutes, 34 minutes, 10 seconds specifically, not too long, but I would want a killer sound system brought in. As an audio guy, that's very important, is it has to be a good sound system. But then I want the full album of 22 A Million by Bon Iver to be played front to back, cover to cover, no shuffle, no skips, none of that. 34 minutes, 10 seconds. And the reason I want that is because, to me, that album perfectly embodies an expression of the human experience. And to me, it is probably the greatest album of all time. That's a subjective statement, but that's just to me. Because I really find it the peak of creative expression. And of course, I'm biased in even saying that the musical format is the greatest medium for creativity. I'm just oriented towards the auditory. If somebody was more visually primed, they would probably say, a work of cinematography or a painting would be the peak. But to me, it's music, and more specifically, this particular album, 22 Million by Bon Iver. And that's for a few reasons. The first reason is it explores the relationship that Justin Vernon, who for all intents and purposes is Bon Iver, has with religion and spirituality and all of the existential topics, the weight of existing. And again, as I come to become more of me, I realize that that's just the direction I'm going, is to ask those really big questions and to try to figure it all out. Not that I think I'll ever have an answer to any of this, as nice as that would be. I don't think that makes the pursuit of asking those questions worthless then. I think it's a very worthwhile and purposeful pursuit to ask those big questions of what the hell are we? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What's our significance? Is significance predetermined for us? Is significance a fire that we stoke within ourselves and we build it ourselves? All of these questions that I have found myself to be asking, and I think I'll always be asking until my fateful day comes. So that album, it really expresses the way I view existence, being a human being, and it does it through such a beautiful felt experience. You feel every sound, you feel every note, you feel every word, even if the words are incomprehensible sometimes or overly ambiguous and abstract. That's another part that I love about it, is it's sort of this free association album where the lyrics are so abstract you could relate anything to it. You relate your own experiences to it. And of course, this album has been in my life for a number of years. And I've been listening to it front to back, basically, whenever there's a significant life event that's going on. One of the first things I do after I distance myself, say the event happens, and I separate myself a bit, and I go, okay, I need to process this, and then I sit down and I play this album front to back, and it's like I've tethered something new to this album. I've of course related heartbreak and deconstruction and all of these very big, heavy, emotionally taxing experiences to it, but there's one in particular that really altered my approach to this album and really impacted the emotional significance that this album has in my life 2 summers ago, not this last summer, but the summer before. It was the first summer that I was living in Toronto, in the city. My first year, I moved out, I went onto residence. That was cut short in March because that thing that everybody doesn't talk about now happened. And my second year was all online, and then my third year I came back, and then the summer of my third year I moved off of residence into a house with a bunch of guys, and that summer, that was like my big formative adult at 20. Not that I'm an adult now. I'm still a kid, sort of. I'm in this weird emerging stage. But that was my summer, right? I was working rough framing carpentry, and about 2 hours north of here, this particular summer, my aunt was terminally ill with cancer. There was already a lot of things at that point. There was already a lot of associations I'd made with this album, but none quite like this. The existential themes of the album really set in, and you really feel the depth that you can relate to this album. Earlier in the summer, I got the call. I'm up in 2 hours north of here, and originally I'm from an hour east of Toronto. So I basically get the call, it's time to, come in and say goodbye. And, that was the first thing I thought to play on the drive-in, and it was the only thing I played for, 3 hours for the drive, was just this album front to back on repeat. And even after that drive, continuing to listen to that album and really wrestling with this idea of being a human being and what that means, and the fact that there's only so much time after the funeral, still listening to that album, just waiting for it to make sense. And I think the struggle within that album is it's the acknowledgement that it doesn't make sense, and it really won't make sense. And maybe it's corny to say, something still beautiful can come and emerge out of that, like music. A beautiful song or a beautiful album can emerge out of someone's limited years on this earth as they confront the fact that it's all fleeting. So that's how I come to understand what all of this means is through music, is a felt experience conveyed from somebody who's mastered a craft to convey what they feel and, do everything technically and still keep that emotional essence while still doing the arrangement and the actual instrumentation and the singing and all the technical aspect, but still harboring that felt emotional impact and then sharing it with other people, and then people listen and they go, that's it. That is it. That is the thing that I can't say, right? That's the thing that I only feel. So of course at my funeral, I would want other people to feel that, because I don't think a Bible verse would be able to contain how I feel about this, how I've related to life, how I've gone through life. I think for me, it's only done through music. I think the people that, of course, know me will understand that. Additionally, I really like the album, and apparently people like when you like things, so I'm trying to get as many people to listen to this album as well, so even if that means I have to have a captive audience to share the album, then so be it, I'll have everybody guilt trip to sit down and listen to this thing for 34 minutes and 10 seconds. It doesn't matter. I'll win in the end. I'll get them to listen to the album. Yeah, I think some people will get that. I think others won't. Yeah, that's what I want at my funeral. I want a good sound system, and I want the only thing that's been able to properly express the way I feel about this being a human being. That's what I want. And we've only got so much time, so I guess get out there, have experiences, see the world, delve into abstract conversation, indulge in your creative pursuits. There's a lot of things you could do. Just be intentional, be thoughtful with your time. I know I'm bad at that. Just remember that it is a gift. You've got no say in when it ends. Within reason. I mean, if you're like a habitual smoker, then okay, yeah, you gotta say, you get what I mean. Yeah, get out there, enjoy your life. I know that's hard in the winter. Anyways. Yeah. Bye.